Good evening and welcome to Sim Racing Online. This is the Formula 1979 series. We're going back in time and we're racing on historic tracks as well. I'm your host, Neil Wood, and we are set for 60 minutes of racing around an Austrian airfield. Now, if you weren't with us 2 weeks ago, we were racing around Black Cat County, which is drastically different from where we're racing today. Black Cat County was full of elevation changes, full of very off-camber and on-camber corners. We are now in Austria on a flat airfield with not very many corners. So we're set for 60 minutes of racing. There are no mandatory pit stops, and we are waiting for 15 minutes quali. But we've got a few bits of housekeeping to go through before we get there. So, as I said, this is the Formula 1979 series, and we are using the RSS Formula 1979. It's modelled on what I believe is the Lotus 79. And out of the 26 races, we've got 6 wins, 15 podiums, 10 poles, and 5 fastest lap. Quite a classic car. You may remember it was driven by people such as Mario Andretti back in the late 70s, and powered by Ford Cosworth DFV. So popular in its time and revolutionary in its time. One of the cars that was kind of instrumental with ground effect back in the day. So as I say, we are racing in Austria today. Now I'm going to butcher the name, so bear with me. This is round 2 and we are at, let's see if I can get it right, it's Tulln-Langenlebarn. That's what we're going to go with. That is how I'm going to pronounce it. Tulln-Langenlebarn. It's the 1968 layout. It's apparently an operational airfield situated a mile from the banks of the Danube River. It opened in 1967, or it had its first race in 1967, and its last race took place in 1971, so it didn't last very, very long. It had sports cars, GT cars, in 1966, and it held a European Formula 2 race for the first 5 years of the championship. Facilities were rudimentary, as you can see from it's very barren, or what you will see is very barren. Straw bales lining the circuit, marking the course on a concrete runway. Local hero Jochen Rindt obliged the crowds by winning the first 3 F2 events, and Ronnie Peterson's victory in the circuit's final race came as many others spun out in heavy rain. So, a couple of the drivers that drove the Lotus 49 are actually driven on this circuit in real life. So how about that? So, what I've got for you is an onboard guide so we can see what the layout of the circuit is like. So let's join Maddie Shepherd on board, and I'll show you what the circuit's all about. So we're looking at lap times of maybe under 1 minute. I've seen under 1 minute on the practice times so far. But as I said, we did have a round at the Black Cat County last week, and if we look at the championship standings, it is Laurent Lons that's currently leading the championship, with Maddie Shepherd a very, very close second. You can see we've got the top 10 listed down there, with Phil Brown in third. So we're set for a very different type of racing at this airfield. So let's actually join the action on track so you can see who's who and what's what. Here we go. Right. So let's join track side. So as you can see, times are coming in. We're down in the 52s of practice. So that's very quick times. So we're currently looking at, unfortunately, Kirilov, as he has a little bit of a spin into the outfield there. Looks like the cameras are going to be quite far away from the action, unfortunately. So we're going to have to make use of our onboard cameras. Oh, I don't know who that was, but they just found out that his hay bales are concrete. They do not move. So, as in terms of championship contention, let's go through in reverse order so you can see who's who. So, 12th in the championship at the moment is Marius Lembioda. I believe he was in the midfield last 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately had a few problems with the bumps of Black Cat County, and he came a cropper and ended up retiring. He is in the very Swedish looking yellow and blue Formula 79, coming through to the fast S's. Next on our list is Tony Talviti, Finnish driver. Currently coming to the end of the lap. He again was quite high up the order, and it looked like he was running quite a low downforce setup, and was passing a lot of people, but unfortunately came a little bit of a cropper and ended up crashing out. Paul Upham finished 10th. Unfortunately, Paul Upham had a torrid time. He got caught up in an accident on the first lap and had to pit for repairs. You can see he's in the Alfa Romeo type livery. And we have the American Ed Jones currently in the pits. In fact, maybe he's in the Alfa Romeo. The red and white. Normally a very solid competitor, but finished 9th last time out. Philip Pichler is in the Wolf livery Formula 1979. Currently experimenting with tyre smoke. I don't know if that's a bug or whether that's supposed to happen. Warming up the tyres. It looks like he's got slightly bent front suspension there. But Philip Pichler, again, looked like he was running quite a high downforce setup and was having a lot of trouble last week at Black Cat County. Finished 8th in the race. And then we come to the driver where I really struggled with his name. And I'm probably going to struggle with his name today as well. It's Kimi Martikainen. We go on board just as he hit the tyres quite dramatically there. He was quite fast and had some close battles with the other drivers last week, but unfortunately he came a copper with the bumps of Black Cat County and finished way down the order. So he's in the Renault type livery. We are coming to the end of practice, so Drivers may not get in another practice lap. Next on our list is Kirill Kirilov. Driver in what looks like McLaren livery. Yeah, it does look like McLaren livery, doesn't it? Yep, Marlboro. So McLaren liveries, Lotus 79. Another German driver for True North Racing. In fact, looks like we are going to quali. So I'll have to run through those drivers. Right, so Kirill Kirilov was the last one. Next on our list is... Where is he there? There we go. Next on our list is Michael Masaryk. Michael Masaryk finished 5th last time out. Had some really, really close battles with Maddie Shepherd. I guess they have very short laps as well for this track, under 1 minute. So you'll need to be very quick. So it looks like they're going to be the first to set their flying laps. It's Masaryk out front. I believe that's Kirill out front. He'll be the first to do his flying lap. Into turn 1. Very gentle on the throttle, it seems. To the right hand side. I did see he was leading the practice session when that ended. 52, it's slightly wide on the exit there. You don't want to go too wide. Drivers are going to have to be very, very sensible with passing on this circuit. No passing through that fast left-right chicane. So first representative time, Kirill Kirilov 52.7 with Michael Masaryk just behind with 53.0. Oh, Paul Upham has now gone up to second. Maddie Shepherd slipping into third with a 53.3. Compared to John van der Geest last time out. Very close to those. I breathe in every time it goes through that chicane. So John van der Geest in the Arrows livery finished 4th last time out. Slowest corner of the track. Got to get it really slowed down and then tuck in to get across through those hay bales there. John van der Geest 0.9 off the fastest time at the moment. In 7th place. For Phil Brown. Phil Brown in the Martini Racing Lotus livery. Currently in traffic at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There are straights on this circuit where the cars can stick with each other through this far left-right chicane. I'm not too sure. Phil Brown was going to come away with a podium. Unfortunately, came a copper of the concrete hay bales there. I believe it was probably a miscommunication that led to someone colliding with the rear. Maddie Shepherd coming through for another lap. Maddie Shepherd had an excellent round, starting quite well down the order because of an accident. In fact, she's going into the pits to go out for another run, or maybe adjust the setup. She had a great fight back drive coming back to second place and only being second place by under a second, I believe it was. So very close over the line. And then we have championship leader, Laurent Lons. Whether or not he's got the same kind of performance at this track as he did at Black Cat County. Lons does look like he's in a different car today, unfortunately, which is going to be extra confusing. So Lons last 2 weeks ago, Black Cat County, basically took advantage of some of the accidents that happened in the first few laps and romped off into the lead, and then the rest of the field was playing catch up. But near the end, it was either tyre wear or just the nature of it being a 60-minute race ended up being caught by Andy Shepherd. So is it going to be close this time? This is just coming down to the last. Can't really call it a chicane. 0.4 back from the leader, currently third on the grid. But Kirill Kirilov is the person that's setting the fastest time. 51.9. Tony Talviti is not far behind. Currently taking a little bit of a detour. Probably trying to get out of the way of some of the drivers that are on qualifying laps. Let's make sure that we get onto the track without screwing up other people's laps. It's very hard to get out of the way on this track, I would imagine. Michael Masaryk currently in the pits, currently fourth with a 53.0. He's going out for another run. Currently in a yellow and black livery. I'm not sure which one that one is modelling, because we are using a real livery pack. Taking a very, very slow out lap. Looks like tyre heat is a bit of a problem. Now, what we saw from 2 weeks ago was that there was quite a few people that were running quite a low downforce setup, and they were paying the price through the turns, but they were taking full advantage in the straights. Now this course is pretty much just a bunch of straights with some right angle corners. You see Paul Upham in 6th place. He's 200ths of a second, just behind 5th, so not much to find to bump up a couple of positions. I imagine that a land downforce setup through here might be quite advantageous to be able to get into someone's slipstream. I would imagine that they'd need to do it way before the corner. Let's see if he managed to change his position from 6th place over the line. He's closer to 5th place, but now he's 1/1000th away. As we check back with John Vandergeest. Currently in 9th on his out lap, just about to go out. He has another fast lap with just over 6.5 minutes to go. And I imagine this race is going to get quite noisy as well, because the track is quite short. So over the line, let's go on board and see how John does. He's 0.3 away from 8th place. Couple of gears down. A bit of understeer. Doesn't want to get anywhere near that apex in turn 2. Now over to the right hand side. Now it should only be a slight lift coming in here. There we go. Slight lift on either corner. And then on the right hand turn. Again, slight bit of braking. He didn't sound like he went down a couple of gears there. But hard braking down into what is the last turn. He gets it all wrong coming through there. It's a very unconventional corner because it's not like it's just a normal radius. You have to brake much later than you think you do, and then kind of come back on yourself to avoid the hay bales on the left. So I'm wondering who's going to get caught out with that section of the track in the race. And this Phil Pitchler running up to the end of the lap. Oh, gets the braking all wrong, but doesn't want to hit those concrete hay bales. Now there is some regulations in sim racing online, which means if you do screw up your lap, you can't just escape back to the pits. You have to actually finish your lap, come and do an in lap, and then go again, which makes it feel a bit more kind of authentic. So Philip Pitchler is going again. That was only an out lap, so maybe cold tyres got the better of him. But with 4.5 minutes to go, Kirill Kirilov is still setting the pace with a 51.8. He's pulled out slightly more on the top of the timesheets, with Tony Talviti in second with a 52.1. Lon's last winner last time out with a 52.3. And Mehdi Shepherd currently in the pits in fourth. So Philip Pitchler only 2.1 seconds behind John van der Geest in ninth. Bit of pace to find. Looks like there is a faster car behind. Very close to the outside there. I believe that is Tony on a fast lap that's behind. Philip managed to get out of the way because he saw a faster car coming. Tony is only 0.2 away. Is he going to get any closer to pole? I'm not sure he did with that lap, so he's already crossed the line, so 0.2. Let's see on board with Tony. He's very close to the hay bales on the inside. And you don't want to run a wheel on the outside there because that will spin you into the tyres or the hay bales on the right. So flat through the second part of that chicane, it sounded, I didn't hear a lift. A slight lift and back on the throttle. Hard braking down this last part. So drivers are going to have to be very careful coming through that last part of that corner. We're now 2.5 tenths away from pole. Lons is only 0.1 away from Tony Talviti. Looks like he had a little bit of a spin there. A bit of a spin. There he goes again. So cold tyres are proving quite difficult on this circuit. Not really many heavy corners to get the tyres up to temperature, so maybe it's going to take a couple of laps. It looks like Maddie Shepherd has just popped up to third place. 600ths away from second. John Player special delivery there. I think it was just avoiding John van der Geest there. So it sounded like a little bit of a lift. No downshifting in that last part. And hard on the brakes. Slight lock of the right front. Avoid the tyres on the left. Accelerated the line with 1 minute to go. Andy Shepherd now goes up to second. Only 600ths of a second behind Kirill Kirilov. As Kirill Kirilov got the last lap in. I believe he's probably going to be able to do one more lap after this. So he's setting the pace with a 51.8. So for the final couple of corners. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of downforce setups people have got. Whether they want to sacrifice the bends or sacrifice the straights, too sure. Currently stays in pole, and he actually pulls away with a 51.5, so I think he might have put it out of the reach from Maddie Shepherd. I don't think Maddie's going to make it over for another lap, unless this is a very slow out lap. It does look like a very slow out lap. Let's see, this is the run for pole. It's going to be one of the last cars on the track. Does look like Phil Brown and Tony Talviti are the only other cars that could change their position. In fact, Tony cannot. I believe Phil Brown. In fact, that isn't Phil Brown. Oh, that's that attempt gone. So Kirill Kirilov gets first. And Maddie Shepherd is second. Tony Talviti in third. Laurent Lons in fourth. Phil Brown in fifth. Michael Masaryk sixth. Paul Upham seventh. Kimi Martikainen in eighth. John van der Geest ninth. Philip Pichler in 10th. Marius Labioda in 11th, and it doesn't look like Ed Jones has set a time, and it will be starting from the back. So, 60 minutes of racing. 60 minutes of racing. Now, I've got to do some jiggery pokery to make sure that I am not on the grid when the green flag goes, but we've got 60 minutes of races. There are no mandatory pit stops, so it's going to be flat out. We did have pit stops in the last race, but that was due to drivers' fuel strategy. And or tyres. But I'm not really expecting there to be too much tyre wear in this race. So I'm just listening to the briefing, or reading the briefing. It is a standing start, so I'm going to need to be very, very quick on my removal of the grid. And let's make sure that we're focusing on the pole man, Kirill Kirilov. The admin is just wishing everybody luck, and wishing me luck as well. I don't know why I'm getting wish luck. I'm just watching the action. I'm not involved. But thank you for the luck. Best of luck to every single driver. It's rolled over to the grid. We're just waiting for the lights. So when the red lights come on, I will be able to that's not what I want. So we're hoping to get back to the pits. It's not letting me get back to the pits. There we go. As we go over the line for a start, it looks like Maddie Shepherd has made an absolute blinder and is up into the lead. What happened to Kirill Kirilov? He's only down to second. Through the fast chicane for the first time. Not too far behind Maddie in first. Looks like all of our drivers did seem to get through the first turns okay. particular troubles. Over the line is our top three. It is Maddie Shepherd in first, Kirill Kirilov in second, and Tony Talviti in third. We're going to move our map over a bit so you can see what's going on. It does look like we may have lost one of our drivers. Ed Jones, I believe we have lost. There we go. So, Maddie Shepherd leads down into the final turn. It's Maddie Shepherd, Kirill Kirilov, Tony Talviti 1 second behind, with Phil Brown in fourth. Maddie's pulling out a slight gap. You can see that Phil Brown at the back of this pack here is dropping away by about a second or so. And then a slightly bigger gap back to Lon. So Lon's the winner last time out has got a lot of work to do, but we are set for 60 minutes of racing. So it does look like we've had a spinner. That is Kimi Martikainen rather. It does look like he's had a little bit of trouble in that final chicane. He's coming in for repairs. And we do have a battle back here for ninth. This is Philip Pichler. Van der Geest not far behind. So currently only one spinner so far, so maybe Martikainen maybe came a cropper of that final chicane. Paul Upham is battling with, looks like, Michael Masaryk. So alongside around the outside, I'm not sure that's going to work. Close behind into turn two. Looks like they're being very, very gentle on the throttle through these first couple of turns. Masaryk looks like he may be running a slightly lower wing because he can't manage to keep pull up and tries. He's going to need to get a bit more alongside. It's very difficult through that short straight. Let's pull up and again. Oh, taps him from behind. He's going to have to let Masaryk through. So Masaryk gets going. I think maybe our championship leader that got caught up in that. Lons, he has indeed dropped back to 10th place. Unfortunately, Lons came upon that scene a little bit late, and it does look like Maddie Shepherd has actually dropped down the order, now down to 4th. I don't know what happened to Maddie. But now Kirilov leads. Tony Talviti is in second. So Tony Talviti now chasing Kirilov. Phil Brown is another 4 seconds up the road, so the top two are getting away. And Phil Brown is now being caught by Maddie Shepherd. You can see Maddie Shepherd just behind there. So up towards turn one. Again, a couple of drivers feeling very tentative through these first couple of turns. I imagine maybe they're playing the long game. Not wanting to overheat these tyres, nor want to wear these tyres. Fast left and right, and up towards the final two turns. It does look very it's about 1 second or so slower than the qualification times. Oh, it feels so slow. Let's see what kind of downforce level that Maddie is running as compared to Phil Brown. They look very, very well matched. Did look like a little bit of lag there. The car jumped backwards, and that probably gave Maddie Shepherd a little bit of a shot. in the first 2 turns. And up towards the left-right chicane. It does look like going back to Paul Upham. Paul Upham is now down in 9th. I think Lons maybe have passed him a while ago, so Lons is now up to 8th, championship leader. And now set his sights on Philip Pitchler ahead. It does look like Philip Pitchler is playing the long game there to let Lons through. And maybe sense that Lons has the pace. Eddie Shepherd now has passed. Phil Brown is now dropped down. Whether that was an accident from Phil Brown, because he's now down to 9th place. So did he get caught up with the concrete hay bales? It doesn't look like there's any damage, but Phil Brown is now chasing after John van der Geest to make up the places he's lost. So with 8 laps gone, Kirill Kirillov leads. Tony Talviti is in second. Shepherd is in third. 13 seconds behind the top 2. Bit of work to do. Marius now back in 4th. So Marius has been plugging away there. Bit out on his own in 4th place. And we look back to 5th, Mazarek, after that accident, and has spaced a few of the drivers out, unfortunately. I think I can't remember who it was that ran into the back. Was it Paul Upham that ran into the back of Michael? If we go back to Phil Brown, Phil Brown is battling away back through the field, back in 10th place. Fast left-right chicane. Trying to catch Paul Upham ahead, but he's being shadowed by Van der Geest. I think it looks like that Maddie Shepherd has pitted. I don't know if this is scheduled. But Marius Labioda is now in the lead, and Maddie Shepherd is dropping down the order. But the top 2 are stuck together at the front. Let's see comparative downforce levels, perhaps. He's within about 0.5 of a second, but not gaining an awful lot. So comparatively, same downforce levels. And I believe Talviti was one of the drivers that was driving with quite low downforce at Black Cat County. A little bit left and the right. He loses a little bit of time to Kirillov through the faster parts of the circuit. Kirillov ahead, running a 52.9, and he was running 51s. Slight lock up coming into the final turn. No harm done. So the top 2 have pulled away by 17 seconds. Marius Labioda is out on his own in 3rd, coming through the final turn. Mazarek is currently in quite a strong 4th place. And across the line. Mazarek currently 5th in the championship. He'll be glad to pick up a 4th place. If we look back to Lons, current championship leader, currently in 5th place, a bit of work to do. Seeing Paul Upham and in fact we come on board with Paul Upham having I think just getting out of the way. Maddie Shepherd able to overtake. I don't know if he saw an accident ahead and had to avoid it, but it does look like Philip Pichler was in a little bit of trouble. So Maddie now, after that pit stop, up to 6th place. Again, cut back to the lead. Still within half a second. Now lap cars are going to come into play here. Final turn, the lap car goes a bit wide. So manages to let them through. That's John van der Geest in front. Goes to the right. Tony should be able to get around, and that has slowed Kirilov down. Coming up to lap the car, but still not. Talviti's still not able to get by. So it might take catching a lap car in the wrong place to actually change the result here. It's been like a little bit of stalemate. Again, here's a lap car. Managed to get out of the way. It did bulk Kirilov a little. Tony Talviti didn't fancy the dive up the inside there. Not really a big stopping point to actually get up the inside. It's the last turn. So if you can stay under the rear wing into the last turn, then I think we are... Again, Maddie Shepherd is dropping down the order. She's pitting once again. So I don't know if there's a technical problem or in fact had another accident perhaps. But the second in the championship is not faring so well at this Austrian airfield. So through the fast left-right. Tony does drop quite far back through that fast section. Struggling to stay with the car in front. Battles all the way down the field as we see Philip Pichler in a 3-car battle. There's John van der Geest ahead, and Phil Brown working his way back up the field. In 9th, he's going for an overtake. So Phil Brown's on the left, I believe he's done it. He's now in front of Philip Pichler. Passed him up the inside into turn 1. And you can see it, John van der Geest is not far ahead. It does look like Paul Upham having another little bit of an off. He's staying in 6th place, but he's a little bit of an off coming through turn 1 and 2. It looks like he's going very, very slowly, so I don't know if he's got car damage. He might look like he's got bent steering there. Yes, he's got very definitely bent steering. You see that he's having a lot of trouble just trying to turn right. He's got to be very careful staying out of people's way. It looks like he may have had an incident with the tyre wall. So he will be coming to the pits in short order. Back up the front, the battle still continues. Kirilov in the lead with Tony Talviti in 2nd. So through that first batch of lap cars, there was a couple of chances. Whether there will be chances later on in the race. But Talviti is able to stay within 1 second. So we have 3 drivers in the pits, and 2 drivers in the pits at the moment. Paul Upham and Marta Kynan. It looks like yet again going to have a battle of Phil Brown coming back through the field, passing John van der Geest. I think John van der Geest was very kind, letting him through. Oh, and he gets it all wrong coming out of the first turn. Probably not as grippy on the outside of that turn there. And runs into the barriers. Jumping back to Laurent Lons, who's now found some pace and has caught up to Michael Masaryk. We saw from John van der Geest that it's not good to try around the outside at turn 1. And it does look like he has a loose bit of bodywork there. So he has caught up to the back of Masaryk. It's taken 15 minutes of the race to get there, so this is 4th in front. Quite close enough to get an overlap into the final turn. Let's see what their speed is like. So Masaryk knows that he's slow out of the final corner. Gaining. But I don't think he's going to be close enough. He hasn't quite got the overlap before. A lot of speed coming up to the first turn, and unfortunately runs wide and loses all his momentum. So you're going to need to be right under the rear wing of the car in front and have a very, very similar pace to even get a launch up the inside, I believe. So 42 minutes to go. Kirillov is first, Talviti 1 second behind. Labioda in third. This is still the battle for 4th and 5th. Masaryk does go to the inside of the straight. Maybe he's just trying to ease the steering angle. Or maybe stay out of the draft of the car behind. Lap times of about 54. 53s. So after 2 pit stops, Maddie Shepherd now up to 9th place, so she's out the pits. And it's going to come and overtake John van der Geest for 8th. So I'm not sure whether it is accidents, mistakes, or technical problems that dropped her down the order. She did start, I believe, in 3rd place. Up to 8th with a lot of work to do with 41 minutes to go. Now I'm wondering whether there is fueling in this race. If so, she probably topped up that fuel tank and hoped to go to the end, perhaps. So we rejoin the battle for the leaders. Kirillov still leading Talviti in second by just under a second. Very, very well matched, it seems. In the 52s at best. Talviti is taking a little bit of a watching brief. We do have a lap car just ahead, so whether or not that is going to Kirillov ahead is perhaps going to catch him in the wrong place. So I believe that is 10th place Paul Upham, now out the pits. Stays well out of the way, does not want to get involved. There's Kirillov and Talviti pass on the straight. Down to turn 1 again. It seems you're going to have to be within about 0.2 to even be in the slipstream. And to take a little bit of a look up the inside. Very many passing places on this track for what is a very, very simple layout. It's going to maybe take a mistake from the car in front. It does look like there's a little bit of aero wash. Can't really stay under the rear wing to keep close enough. So you've got to distract the car ahead. For a mistake. Getting within about 0.5 of a second up towards turn 1. He is gaining all the way up to turn 1, but just not enough. So piling on this pressure. Whether this pressure is going to work against Kirillov or not. Just seen that Michael Masaryk has now got up to 3rd place. That may have been a mistake from Laurent Lons. In fact, it was Marius Labioda that had a mistake. And that's let Michael Masaryk and Laurent Lons pass. Championship leader Lons is still shadowing Masaryk. But again, not able to stay very, very close. Maybe staying out of that 1 second window to not ruin the front tyres. Maybe that is the way to do it. So Maddie Shepherd recovering from another accident. Labioda is now in the pits with 38 minutes to go. So I don't know if that's scheduled or not. Maybe he's going for his 2-stop. If we drop back to Lon, still shadowing Masaryk for 3rd. The podium is on the cards here. And we're going to have to bring up our points so we can perhaps put our points on the fly when we come to the end of the race. So Laurent Lons is shadowing Masaryk, but staying quite far back. It's very, very smooth, not really causing any big slides, very relaxed. Locking up of the tyres, just very, very. So right over to the right hand side. Maybe just cutting down the angle of the corner within 0.3. Coming up to the first turn, but still not quite close enough. It looks like we have 7th place ahead. That is John van der Geest ahead. So whether that will give an opportunity. Very close through the sweepers here. And down to the one of the biggest stopping points onto the concrete. Not a lot of grip. It does look like Masaryk did lock up, which means he's going to be vulnerable onto the straight. I'm not sure whether Lons can take advantage. He's gaining. He's going to go to the outside. You can hear the other car of Masaryk on the inside. Can 2 get through here? They can. So, strong defence from Masaryk. He seems like he's... May just be a matter of time. Lons just needs to capitalise on an opportunity coming up. He's stuck to the floor, coming through the final left-right. Down to the slowest part of the circuit. Harder on the brakes than Masaryk is. But still another lap. Maddie Shepherd is pitting again. Coming out of the pits. I think that's the 3rd or 4th pit stop. I'm not sure what's going wrong there. Maybe a technical problem. So still the leaders, nose to tail, coming through these lapped cars. We'll see whether any of these lapped cars are going to cause any problems. So only 0.6, 0.5 behind, coming up to what is the final 2 turns. To the slowest corner of the circuit. A couple of lap cars ahead. They're probably going to catch them at the right time, which is the main straight, but they are battling for position. And that is 3rd and 4th. So first and second are about to lap third and fourth. But still not quite close enough. You can't quite tell whether they're just maybe pacing themselves out front, and it's going to be a last minute dash. At Black Cat County, there was certain periods where very close to the sweepers. Lost all the downforce, unfortunately, and Tony ran wide. And he's not going to drop position because he was catching up with third and fourth. But Kirillov gets away with that. It looks like he was under the rear wing, and he either lost downforce. And I think Masaryk is coming into the pits, which means Lons is now up to third. And about to be lapped by the leader. So a stunning performance by Kirillov. Lapping all the way up to third place. So we know Masaryk has come into the pits. When is Lons going to come into the pits? Is it going to be this lap? Does he want to make sure he's not undercut? He's going to lose a little bit of time because of the leader. It's not this lap. Looks like Kirillov is coming into the pits. So, the leader pits. He has 30 seconds to Talviti behind. He's just coming up to the final two corners. So nearly at half distance. Nearly at half distance. It's Kirillov first, Talviti second, Lons is in third, Masaryk in fact, Tony is coming into the pits this lap. He probably won't be overtaken by Lons in third. Lons is a lap behind. In fact, he might get overtaken by Lons because of that accident. And Lons makes his way up to still third place. He's a lap behind, I believe. So a couple of battle wounds on that car. In fact, he did make his way up to second place. The timing screen was a bit delayed. So Tony Talviti now out of the pits. And Masaryk has passed him as well. So Masaryk is now up to third place with Talviti just behind. On the same kind of pit strategy. I'm not sure that Masaryk has the pace to stay ahead of Talviti. I'm not sure who that is ahead of. That is Kirillov, the leader, ahead of us. But I believe he is a lap ahead. So Kirillov coming through the final corner. And Masaryk behind. A lap behind. With Talviti, after that accident, has now got to work his way back up through the field onto the podium. So lap time of 1:37, the last lap, so lost about over 30 seconds. For a pit stop. Masaryk is maybe playing the long game there, moving out of the way of Tony. So he knows that perhaps he'll live to fight another day. Is that Lons ahead? That is Lons ahead. Must have maybe missed a pit stop because the second, third and fourth are all together. So Lons, Talviti, Masaryk closed right up together through this pit stop phase. So Talviti under the rear wing, coming through the fast sweep left-right. That's where he did have his accident. Slight loss of downforce, meant ran wide. That's a slight dive, unfortunately. Bit too late. And he lets Lons go, but that has meant that Lons has let Masaryk through. So I thought it was going to be very, very late on the brakes. It was indeed late on the brakes. He tagged the rear of Lons. No harm done. They got going again. But Masaryk has got ahead into second place, as Kirillov now with under half distance is miles away from the field. Kirillov was 6th last time out. He's having a stunning round in Austria. This is a 6-round championship every 2 weeks. So plenty of time to catch up. So again, Talviti right on the back of Lons. Hopefully a cleaner move this time. The rest of the field is quite spaced out. This is the battle for third between Talviti and Lons. Talviti probably needs a better points haul than he got in the first round, because unfortunately Tony didn't score any points last time out. And Lons needs to keep his championship alive. Really fast. Left, right. How close can he keep under the rear wing? He's very close. Still looks like he's losing a lot of downforce in the final 2 turns, and this is where he needs to be close. He needs to be right under the rear wing here in order to effect a pass up into turn 1. So this battle is going to rage on. It looks like 9th place has come off the track. That's Paul Upham spun round. That's unfortunate. Now down to 9th place. He's not really having a good round. He finished 10th last time out because of an accident early on in the race, and he's not having a very productive round this round either. So back onto the main straight, 9th place. Hopefully car is undamaged. So back to the battle for 2nd and 3rd, or in fact 3rd and 4th. Tony Talviti getting very close up to the final turn. Lons taking a very wide line through that final corner. Could be a bit closer to the hay bales on the inside line. But he gets a good exit onto the straight to pull away from Talviti. Tony Talviti is gaining. He's within 0.2 of a second towards turn 1. He's going to take a little bit of a look. In fact, he does get up the inside. It was a very late look. I think Lons was maybe very kind. He's thinking of the championship. Tony Talviti can pull away and hopefully catch up to Masaryk in 2nd. So Talviti, after pit stops, back on the podium. So with 25 minutes to go, let's run through the order. So it's Kirillov in 1st, Masaryk quite far behind on the track map in 2nd, Talviti further 5 seconds back in 3rd, Lons championship leader in 4th, and Phil Brown in 5th. So it looks like 2nd and 3rd, or in fact 3rd and 4th was the closest battle on track. Has now come to a close for the time being. Kirillov is putting in a stunning drive to be this far ahead of the other drivers. It is quite a short lap. coming up to lap. Can't quite see the number of the driver. I believe it's Paul Upham in 9th. I don't know if I've got that quite right. No, that's Phil. That's Philip Pichler in 6th place. So lapping much of the field on this very short circuit in Austria. Used back in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's very, very bumpy. So Masaryk now out on his own, but he does have a Finnish driver of Talvitie not far behind. So as Masaryk comes through the final turn, you can see that Tony is through the final turn not long after. So the chase is on for 2nd and 3rd. And it does look like maybe Paul Upham has called it a day after his torrid Austrian round 2. So the chase is on to get back up to 2nd place. I believe that Talvitie does have a pace advantage. He's only about 2.5 seconds behind. And we have Lons in 4th. It's about a corner or 2 back from Tony now. So once Tony was passed, Lons is now just pacing himself back there. And it does look like we've now lost another driver. I believe that was Martikainen that we just lost. He was an accident early on. I think he was maybe watching the driving, but didn't stick around. So 5th place, Phil Brown. He was on the 2nd row, I believe, when we started. A bit of an accident at the start led to him dropping down the order. He's now back up to 5th place. He did get a podium last time out, but now up to 5th. So again, probably kicking himself, thinking he maybe could have done a little bit better in the 53 range. So he's pretty much on the pace, but the leaders are in the 52s. But quite far behind the car in front of Lons. Pichler, a very, very lonely 6th place. He's 30 seconds behind Philip Brown. He's plugging away, and that maybe does look like Masaryk is the car behind coming to lap. In fact, it is. Talvitie has caught right back up on Masaryk. So Talvitie now in the running for 2nd place. Now, will this lap car come into play? Perhaps catch Masaryk off guard with only 20 minutes to go. So a late charge. A lot of the drivers have been just a one stop. And in fact, Pichler is very gracious of getting out of the way on the right hand side. So Talvitie can't take advantage. It looks like the second part of the left-right is a lot better. See, now Tony Talvitie is choosing some different tactics. Maybe putting off Masaryk ahead, and maybe it worked because we did see a lock-up from Masaryk. Masaryk was sticking to the right-hand side, but he's now left the door wide open. And it looks like Talvitie may be easier than he thought it would be. Up the inside, Masaryk doesn't really fight it an awful lot. Maybe again playing the long game because this will be a good finish for Masaryk. Masaryk finished 5th last time out, and it's a solid podium. So the top 3 now: Kirillov, Talviti and Masaryk. John van der Geest in 7th place. I believe that is 8th place of Maddie Shepherd, not far behind, as we do go on board with John van der Geest. Unfortunately having a little bit of a spin coming through that second turn. That's unfortunate. I wonder whether John van der Geest went for a lower downforce setup. It's struggling with the rear tyres. Just dropping away. But it looks like John van der Geest is the last driver on the road at the moment. So 46 laps gone with 17 minutes to go. How far can Maddie Shepherd get back up the field? She's 7th place at the moment. She's got about 24 seconds to cap Philip Pichler ahead. It's quite a significant margin. So she's coming through the fast left-right chicane. Philip Pichler is coming over the line. The field has spread out quite a lot. Back to the front with Kirillov just plugging away in the lead. Second place is quite far behind. He's not really under any kind of threat. He just has to keep it going. He's not slowing down too much. He's still in the 53 second range of lap. So still quick. Doesn't want to lose concentration. All it takes is a slip wide onto the grass. Colliding with one of those hay bales. After all the fun and games, Talviti is now back up to 2nd. Looks like he is pulling away from Masaryk in 3rd. Who is now 3.5 seconds down the road. Who in turn is actually pulling away from Lons, championship leader, in 4th. Lons is pretty safe in 4th place, really under threat by Phil Brown. He's about 20 seconds behind, slightly wide there. All it took was maybe a couple of inches more to the left, and that would have been a heavy accident, which would have required repairs. So Phil Brown quite far back. Quite safe. Philip Pichler again. Another 30 seconds back. So are we going to find the last 15-minute dash? Has anyone got anything left? I believe the biggest battle on the track will probably be between Masaryk and Lons. It just depends what they have left. I don't think there's going to be any more pit stops. The pit stops are pretty much done around half distance. Let's go on board with Masaryk, see how this car is to handle. It doesn't look like it's getting out of shape. Currently in the high 53s, so dropping back in pace a little from the leaders. Sure who that was ahead. Is that was our 3rd place man. Does it look like third place man has damage? It looks like the steering is straight. Looks like he might have just lost concentration there and spun it around. So all that hard work of getting up to second place, Tulln-Langenlebarn has now knocked himself back down to fourth. Maybe he just wants to make the broadcast more exciting. So the chase is now on again for third place. With the pace advantage, Lons is in the 54s and Tulln-Langenlebarn was in the 53s, so we'll have to see. So third and fourth are the closest on track at the moment. You can see Tulln-Langenlebarn just coming into view. So Lons coming through the final turn. Right behind is Tulln-Langenlebarn. Fortunately, the mistakes are dropping him down the order. Could have had second in the bag here. I believe he was pulling away in second, maybe pushing a little hard trying to catch Kirilov, but Kirilov is decidedly out of reach. Looks like this car is very, very slippy now. Very, very slippy. These rears are giving up. So, another mistake from Tulln-Langenlebarn. I don't believe that is for position, because Phil Brown behind is just coming through turn one, so that is a lapped car, so he didn't lose any positions, but he is still dropping back. He may have enough to be able to do a pit stop if it is the rear tyres giving up, and perhaps it's maybe a little bit of damage. But we'll see. So, with just under 12 minutes to go, it's Kirilov in first, Masaryk now back up to second, Lons championship leader in third, Tulln-Langenlebarn is in fourth, Phil Brown in fifth, taking it very easy through turn one now. Got bitten by that last lap, so maybe wanting to take it a bit more easier. Out front, Kirilov just taking care of lapped cars. He has just passed 7th place of Maddie Shepherd. Still in the low 53, so pushing on. Wants to keep the rhythm. Doesn't want to drop his pace too much. He does have a lot of pace in hand. I believe he has lapped second place according to the timing tower, so he's not really under threat. So we'll see whether he can keep this pace until the end. Masaryk just coming through the final turn. It's been a seesaw battle. He did get rear-ended early on in this race, but has now come back and back up to second place. This is going to put the championship in a very different order. So in this championship, it's 25 points for first, 18 for second, and 15 for third. So this should shake up to be a very interesting change around. If Lons is very lucky, he may come away with the championship lead. If he is lucky. Every car is very equidistant. We can see, is that Tony Tulln-Langenlebarn? Or is that is off? It's Phil Brown. I think he had a little bit of an off going through the faster part of the chicane. Doesn't lose any places. Doesn't look like we have damage. Looks like the steering wheel is straight, so he may be okay. I've just been running a little bit wide and trying to avoid these hay bales. But No harm done. Managing his pace up until the end with under 10 minutes to go. Kirilov leads. Masaryk is second. Lons, championship leader, in third. Talviti in fourth. That does look, that's Maddie Shepherd, I believe. Coming a cropper in that final chicane. Final chicane, or chicane at the back half of the circuit. Let's see if she has any damage. She may have been very lucky with a glancing blow off the barriers there. But not a very good round for Maddie. After that, very close, nearly getting the win last time out at Black Cat County. She's now 8th place. 8th place would only give her 4 points in the championship. So Kirilov still leads from Masaryk in second, Lons third. I'm looking at the gap between Lons and Talviti to see if it's changing at all. It's around 8 seconds. In fact, 4 seconds. The gap is coming down with only 7 minutes to go. So could this be possible? It does stretch to about 7 seconds on the straight. So let's see whether Talviti can get back up on the podium. Still in the 52 high range of lap time, so still pushing on. Wants a podium. Slightly wide there. That did look like it was very close to coming a cropper. In fact, looking at this livery, it does say James Hunt on the side, so I don't know what livery it's actually modelling. I don't remember a James Hunt livery that was blue, but towards turn 1 again, still in the high 52s. Very close to the hay bales on the inside. And again, hay bales on the inside on turn 2. It is a pity that the track cameras aren't quite far away from the circuit. It's only when you get to this part of the circuit that the cameraman decides to get a little bit closer. So you just see Lons just going off into the foreground there. And then we have Talviti, you can see in behind. So that's Lons. And that's Talviti in second. So the gap looks like it's coming down. It's now 5 seconds. 5 minutes to go. So Talviti is definitely catching by about a second a lap, it seems. Lons is in the 53.8 range. 10 seconds behind second place, but I'm not sure you can do anything about second place. So through turn 1 it goes. Very banged up car. Involved in some of those accidents at the start. VT coming through is the left-right fastest section of the circuit. Getting it close to those hay bales on the inside, but keeping a wide berth for the ones on the outside. Car is sticking through these final 2 turns though. Does feel a bit better now that he's not close to another car. He's actually got downforce on the front of his car. So we're now down to just under 4 minutes to go, and we're now under 3.5 seconds in front. So we're going to have a showdown like we did at Black Cat County for, this time it's going to be for third instead of the lead. It's still going to be cutting it fine. We're going to have to keep an eye on the timing as well for when the leader is going to cross the line. Left, right, and up to the final 2 turns. Closer and closer and closer. Lons is just going into the final turn ahead, so his quarry is within reach. 2.5 seconds. Now, in the mortal words of Murray Walker, catching is one thing, passing is another. Up towards turn 1. Trying not to run wide into turn 2. Down 1 more gear. Slight bit of oversteer onto the short straight, coming up to the fast left and the fast right. Slight lift on the entry. No hint of a lift on the exit. Down 1 gear. Oh, slight bit of oversteer. Looks like the rears are really complaining. And slight lock up into the final turn. Gap is now under 2 seconds with 2 minutes to go. You can visibly see the gap is shortening. Now, looking at the track map, it does look like there is a gaggle of lapped cars ahead. So 7th place of John van der Geest is about a short straight away from this battle for 3rd and 4th. Whether they are going to come into play or not, I don't know whether Lons is going to catch him in an awkward place or not. I'm not sure that Lons has the pace to keep ahead of Talviti here, but Talviti has got to be sensible. He has the pace to pass, but whether or not he gets under the rear wing and starts losing all of his downforce. Right now we are nearly under a minute. I'm looking at the leader on the track map here. That is John van der Geest, unfortunately. I think he may have interrupted the battle for 3rd and 4th. Because Talviti got a little bit involved there, trying to avoid. So that kind of looks like that might be battle over, and this might be the last lap for Kirilov. So Talviti is going to have to settle for 4th. It's very unfortunate. Kirilov coming through the final turns. Is he going to slow down to not make everyone do an extra lap? Because this might be the end. 15 seconds to go. So as we see him coming through the final couple of turns, it is indeed. He's going to go 1 more lap. I think he is short by 1 lap. This is the final lap, Kirilov. Keep going. Keep going. I don't think you're finished yet. I think there is 1 more lap to go. Because Masaryk has passed for 2nd, but I don't think this is the final lap. So Lons thinks it's finished as well. I believe it may have finished. Indeed, we have our final order. I think, in fact, Lons is now up to 4th. Very strange end to the race. Very, very strange end to the race. Let's see if we can grab a screenshot of the final positions. Right, so I believe that is the end of our race. Okay, what we can do is a final total up of the points. It ended a bit sooner than I thought, but I'm going to do the provisional points. Let's have a look. Right. Okie doke. Right, so we believe that Kirillov gets first with 25 points. Masaryk comes home in second with 18 points. I believe Lons gets third with 15 points. Then we have Tony comes home with some points, 12 points to be exact. 10 points for 5th place, which is Phil Brown. We then have Maddie Shepherd coming home in 6th place. I think someone may have exited before the finish flag, but we are going to go with this for now. These are provisional points until we get confirmed by the admins. So, Phil Brown in 5th, Maddie Shepherd second last time out, but unfortunately 6th place, which is 8 points. John van der Geest will be 7th place, which will be 6 points, and those are the last finishers we have. So these are provisional points. So, as far as provisional points go, it looks like Lons is still leading the championship with 40 points. Very, very lucky. Now, Kirillov, with his win today, has moved him up to 2nd place in the championship. Masaryk is now up to 3rd in the championship with 28 points. Shepherd now drops down to 4th place in the championship with 26 points. Just behind in 5th is Phil Brown with 25 points. And then a little further behind in 6th place in the championship is John van der Geest. And in 7th place, could have been much better this time out, but scoring some points, they may come in useful for the next round of the championship. It's Tony Talviti in 7th place. Then we have Kimi Martikainen. Again, didn't score a lot of points this time out. I believe there's going to be some rejigs of points. So these are provisional. 9th place for Philip Pichler. And Ed Jones, who I believe did not finish the race. Paul Upham had an absolute shocker this time out. Currently in 11th place in the championship. He may have scored this time. And Marius Labioda, I think he may have retired quite late on in the race. So there may be some points coming his way. So, thank you for joining us at Sim Racing Online for what was the Formula 79 Round 2 at Tulln-Langenlebarn. That's what we're going to call it. So join us for the next round, round 3, on the 1st of May at about 7:45 GMT +1, and we're going to be racing at a very tight circuit called Lake Garnet, based in the early 60s. So it's going to be very, very difficult, a very different circuit than where we were today. It may be even tighter for passing opportunities, but join us then for more Formula 79 action. Check out simracingonline.co.uk. Join us if you want to. More than happy for new drivers to join us. So simracingonline.co.uk, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.